The afternoon sun spilled golden light across the runway at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta, the busiest airport in the world. Inside Concourse B, people bustled about, some rolling carry-ons while others stood impatiently in line at Starbucks. But near Gate B-17, the scene was different. A quiet tension hummed in the air. Standing in the first-class boarding lane was Malcolm Carter, a tall, sharply dressed black man in his mid-40s. His suit was custom-tailored, charcoal gray with a subtle sheen. His shoes gleamed with a mirror polish, and in his hand he held a sleek leather briefcase. He looked like success incarnate, the kind of man who commanded boardrooms, not waiting lines. But as Malcolm handed his boarding pass to the gate agent, a young white woman with a fixed corporate smile, the moment soured. "I'm sorry, sir," she said, glancing at the ticket, then at him. "This line is for first-class passengers only," Malcolm blinked. "That's correct. This is my boarding pass, 2A, first class." She frowned, her smile stiffening. "Yes, but, could you step aside for a moment? We need to verify something." Passengers behind him shifted uncomfortably. A white businessman in a navy blazer coughed impatiently. The agent leaned closer, lowering her voice as if trying to save face but making it worse. "Sir, are you sure you're in the right line? First-class passengers board first. Coach boards after." Malcolm's jaw tightened. He spoke evenly, his voice carrying authority. "I am in the right line. I paid for this seat. Please scan my ticket." But she didn't. Instead, she waved over a colleague. Then, within moments, a supervisor appeared. Whispers passed, glances exchanged, and then the supervisor called security. Within minutes, 2 uniformed TSA officers, both white, approached. "What's the problem here?" one asked. The gate agent gestured toward Malcolm. "This passenger is attempting to board first class, but his ticket—" "Well, something doesn't look right," Malcolm exhaled slowly. He knew exactly what was happening. He had lived this moment before, in different shades, at restaurants, hotels, even car dealerships. It was the same song, different verse. But today, they had chosen the wrong man. "Sir," one of the officers said, stepping closer, "we're going to need to see some identification." Malcolm's voice stayed calm, though his eyes sharpened. "You already have my boarding pass, and it clearly shows first class, seat 2A. Now you're asking for ID when no one else in this line was asked?" The officer's tone hardened. "It's standard procedure when there's a discrepancy." "Discrepancy?" Malcolm repeated. "The only discrepancy here is the color of my skin." The nearby passengers grew quiet. Phones came out, recording, documenting. The businessman in the navy blazer suddenly found something interesting on his shoes. The supervisor folded her arms. "Sir, if you don't comply, you will not be permitted to board this flight." Malcolm studied their faces, the dismissive smirk of the supervisor, the stiff authority of the TSA officers, the uneasy silence of the gate agents. He recognized it all. They didn't see a CEO. They didn't see a multimillionaire. They didn't see the man who had built one of the fastest-growing tech companies in America. They saw only a black man in a space they didn't think he belonged. Malcolm's phone buzzed in his pocket. A reminder notification. Conference call with board of directors. 2 hours. He almost laughed. They had no idea. Malcolm reached into his jacket, pulled out his phone, and with deliberate calm, dialed a number. "Sir, put the phone away," one officer snapped. Malcolm ignored him. The line rang once, twice, and then a voice answered. "Evelyn, patch me through to Stephen Jacobs." "Right away, Mr. Carter." The gate agents glanced at each other. The supervisor's smirk faltered. Seconds later, a deep voice came through the speaker. "Malcolm, my friend!" "How's the trip going?" "Stephen," Malcolm said evenly, his eyes fixed on the officers. "I'm standing at Gate B-17 at your airline's Atlanta hub. I've just been denied boarding for first class on my own ticket. Security has been called. They're implying I don't belong here." A pause. Then Stephen Jacobs, CEO of Sky Vista Airlines, replied, his voice suddenly sharp. "What? At my airline? Who's the supervisor there?" Malcolm turned the phone outward. "Why don't you ask them yourself?" The supervisor blanched as Malcolm hit speakerphone. "This is Stephen Jacobs," the voice thundered. "Who am I speaking to?" The supervisor stammered. This is Melissa, Gate Operations Supervisor." "Melissa," Jacobs said, his tone cold as ice. "Do you realize who you just denied boarding? That's Malcolm Carter, Chairman and CEO of Carter Technologies, one of our airline's largest corporate clients. His company provides the cybersecurity infrastructure that keeps our booking systems online. And you've embarrassed him in public?" The color drained from Melissa's face. The officers shifted uneasily. Passengers began murmuring. Some gasped. Others whispered, "Carter Tech? I've heard of them." Malcolm remained calm, his expression unreadable. Jacobs continued, "Put me on speaker for the entire gate staff." "Right now." Melissa fumbled with the phone. "Yes, sir." The CEO's voice boomed across the gate area, carried by the phone. "Effective immediately, this entire gate is closed until further notice. Flights will be delayed. Passengers will be rerouted. Until I receive a personal apology to Mr. Carter, no one moves." Gasps erupted. People began filming in earnest now. The TSA officers stepped back, suddenly realizing the ground beneath them had shifted. Jacobs went on. "Mr. Carter, you have my personal apology. This never should have happened. I want you to know. I will be on the next flight to Atlanta myself. And Melissa, consider this your final day of employment." Melissa's eyes widened. "Please, sir, save it," Jacob snapped. "Officers, I trust you'll escort Mr. Carter onto his rightful seat in 2A and treat him with the respect he deserves." The officers stiffened, then turned to Malcolm. Their previous authority had evaporated. One cleared his throat awkwardly. Sir, our apologies. Please, allow us to escort you." Malcolm looked at them for a long moment, then shook his head. "No need, I can walk myself." He took his boarding pass back from the trembling gate agent, scanned it, and walked calmly down the jet bridge, his back straight, his pace unhurried. By the time Malcolm settled into his leather seat in first class, the cabin buzzed with whispers. Flight attendants, pale and nervous, rushed to offer him champagne, warm towels, anything he wanted. But Malcolm simply opened his briefcase, pulled out his laptop, and began typing. He had work to do. Moments later, the two TSA officers entered the cabin. Every eye turned. Passengers stiffened. The taller officer cleared his throat, his voice softer now. "Mr. Carter, we wanted to say we're sorry. We made assumptions we shouldn't have. We didn't treat you with the respect you deserve." The shorter officer nodded vigorously. "We were wrong, sir. Completely wrong. Please accept our apology." The flight attendants followed, then the gate agents. Even Melissa, eyes red, shoulders slumped. Each one offered some version of the same apology. "I'm sorry, Mr. Carter. I was out of line." "We didn't mean to offend." Malcolm listened quietly. Then he closed his laptop, folded his hands, and spoke evenly. "You didn't just disrespect me. You disrespected every person who looks like me. Every person who's been told they don't belong in places they worked hard to reach. Remember this moment the next time you make assumptions about someone, because today it cost you your dignity. Tomorrow it could cost you more." The cabin was silent. The officers nodded, chastened. Melissa's lip trembled. The gate agents lowered their heads, and then Malcolm turned back to his laptop, dismissing them with silence. The story made headlines within hours. Black CEO denied boarding in first class, until he makes a call and shuts down the airline. By evening, Sky Vista Airlines issued a public apology. Training programs were announced, policies rewritten. Heads rolled at corporate offices. But for Malcolm Carter, it wasn't about revenge. It was about respect. About forcing an institution to see what it had tried so hard not to see. And as his plane sliced through the clouds, Malcolm leaned back, closed his eyes, and allowed himself the smallest of smiles. Because sometimes, power isn't in shouting. Sometimes power is in knowing exactly who to call.